Let me ask you a question. What is the single most important skill for a successful professional career? It is your ability to collaborate. And your ability to collaborate with other professionals depends on three things: your speaking skills, your writing skills, and the quality and structure of your ideas. Today, we will be focusing on the first skill, your ability to speak. And don't worry about the other two. I'll put a few links in the description below that will help you with those other two as well. Going back to the speaking skill, it really surprises me how few of us actively invest in improving this skill. And by the end of this video, you will have all the skills necessary to improve your next speaking opportunity by leaps and bounds. So let's get started. Number 1, speech writing and outlining. Before writing your speech, you must ask yourself, am I going to be delivering an informative speech or a persuasive speech? If you are selling an idea, then it'll be a persuasive speech. On the other hand, if you are looking to educate, instruct an audience, then it'll be an informative speech. When you're in a job interview or an investor presentation or pitching an idea to your boss, that is a persuasive speech. For this, your script must talk about three things: your vision, your past experiences that can bring your vision to life, and your promises and contributions. On the other hand, informative speeches happen more frequently, like your everyday meetings, presentations, or conversations. The following elements are crucial for an informative speech. Number 1, the promise. If you noticed, at the beginning of this video, I made a promise to you. A promise that you will have all the skills necessary to ace your next speaking opportunity. Number 2, inspiration. My inspiration to start this YouTube channel is you. Many of you requested video-based content on speaking skills, and here we are. And lastly, how to think. In this video, I'm dividing a speech into different parts and addressing each one of those. Big tip number 2, practice. How do you really practice before speaking in front of a real audience? We have seen our users in the Ori app improve drastically by just practicing 3 times. So, I recommend practicing at least 3 times before you go in front of a real audience. Now, what's the best way to practice? Is it in front of a mirror? Well, Obama might agree with that. But there's only so much that a mirror can do for you. A more efficient way to practice would be to use the Ori app, where you will get detailed feedback on how you can actually get better every time you practice. Big tip number 3, avoid filler words or crutch words like so, you know, basically. Sometimes we find ourselves rattled in the middle of a speech and end up using some of these filler words. Maybe because we are nervous or distracted, or we forget what we're about to say next. So we end up leaning on these words to give ourselves some time to recollect our lost words and thoughts. In some cases, they might be useful cues for your listeners to know what to listen to next. But if overused, these filler words diminish your credibility as a speaker and distract your audience from your main message. An average speaker tends to use a filler word every 12 seconds. While no filler words are great, sometimes using them can make you sound a little bit more human. I recommend a maximum of 2 filler words per minute. And the good news is that you can actually turn this weakness into strength by substituting filler words with pauses. I know, it's easier said than done. This is because we tend to speak faster than our mind can actually catch up. So when you use a pause, it might seem like eternity to you, but for the audience it's just a few seconds or 1. But don't you worry, pauses are actually good for your audience. It helps them digest what you're saying. And more often than not, your audience won't even have a clue that you substituted a filler word with a pause. The first step to avoiding filler words is to first become aware of the filler words you use. You can do that by recording your speech and then analyzing it later on. Once you know what are your filler words, it's time to practice again and again until you get rid of them. I cannot stress the importance of practice. That's the only way to eliminate your filler words. After enough practice, you will reach a point where your mind will actually start noticing your own filler words automatically. And if all of that doesn't work, then maybe you need to wear a rubber band that you snap on your wrist every time you use a filler word. Big tip number 4, your pace. Many people ask me, Danish, what is the right speaking pace? How many words should a 10-minute speech contain? What is the ideal rate of speech? There's no right answer to this. If you notice throughout this video, I vary my pace with every sentence. But the recommended rate is between 120 to 150 words per minute. To make sure that your audience can keep up, try to intentionally vary your pace to emphasize certain points. Speaking fast is an indication of passion, urgency, and excitement. And speaking slow can indicate the seriousness of a point, confusion, and sadness. Speaking swiftly in the beginning can seem exciting for your audience, but if overused, it can overwhelm them. Big tip number 5, starting a speech. People often say that jokes are a good way to start a speech. I do not recommend them. For one, it sets the expectation too high. It's like revealing a wild card up front. You will have to continuously crack jokes, or you'll face the risk of your audience losing attention. You'll have plenty of time during a presentation to throw in a joke or two in the middle or towards the end of your presentation. Also note that sometimes jokes don't sit well on certain types of audiences. It really depends on who you're speaking to, what is the context of the event, and a few other things. And aside from jokes, there are many other memorable ways to start a speech. But I mostly open my speeches with a promise, just like the one I made in this video for you. That by the end of this video, you will know a few tips about speaking that you didn't know before. A promise helps the audience visualize how useful or important your speech will be for them, and also relieves off some pressure for you right off the bat. So that brings me towards the end of this video. In the upcoming video, I'll talk about a few more tips that will make massive improvements in your speaking delivery. If you found this video useful and entertaining, subscribe to our YouTube channel for weekly updates on everything to do with communication and public speaking. Give us a like and leave comments below on what you liked in this video, and see you next time.